So one thing I didn't mention in the Reyes Awakening video was there was other stuff that came out with just Reyes' Awakening news. Except I actually didn't look up any of the other stuff. I only really cared about the Awakening, which I guess says something about me. So I went back and actually looked at what else came out, and a new Phantom Sniper came out. And I was like, oh, should probably talk about this. Which this isn't really a new Phantom Sniper. We already knew who this was like in game, but we didn't know what their kit was, and their kit has finally been showed off. Which is none other than Vultee. I guess that's how you say his name. Which is, I guess you could say, the cowboy of the Phantom Snipers. He's part of like Haruto's main squad with Haruto, Priscilla, and of course Vultee. See him a lot in the main story. If you played through the Phantom Sniper story and you actually paid attention to the story, you would see that all three of them are of course Miranda students. And Vultee's finally came out to the Japanese version of the game, and I looked over his kit already. I don't really know what to say. I really don't. At first glance, I'm like, oh, okay. And then after looking at it a little bit more, I'm like, oh, nah, I don't really vibe with it. But real quick before we get into this video, you guys already know, if you enjoy the content, you liked what you see, whatever the case may be, if you guys could drop a like for me and subscribe, helps out the channel a ton. I shouldn't have to say it anymore, to be honest. You guys be killing it with the support anyway. But let's get into this. So Awoken Vultee is a water human. His stats are pretty solid with 3k base attack just right off the bat, which is really good. He has 2 5-star magics and a 4-star defense. Pretty okay. His skill is able to increase his own art gauge by 10, and then for 15 seconds you reduce the enemy's magic resist by 10%. His art is an 18,000% water damage magic. For 20 seconds you increase own skill CT recovery by 120% and equipment CT recovery by 30%. His true art is 60,000% water damage magic. For 20 seconds, all allies ignore enemy's defense by 100%, and for each water ally, an additional arts damage by 30%. The passives on this bad boy is that as long as he's above 80% HP, he's got 80% attack up. Sounds pretty solid to me. He also increases Hellfire resistance by 40%. If you don't know what that is, that's Ignis. And if you don't know what Ignis does, here's a video of defeat. And that's pretty much it for what his unit does, but we'll also talk about his true weapon before I go into my thoughts about this guy. Passive is when equipped by Vultee, you increase your own art gauge by 3 per second, you increase magic damage by 10%, and then the skill on his true weapon is that you decrease the enemy's water resist by 30%, and if the user is water, you get an additional own damage 50% up for 10 seconds. And if you want to see a sprite in game, this is what it looks like. I don't know why, but why does his gun look like a water gun to me? I mean, maybe that's how all the Phantom Snipers guns look in game, but that looks kind of weird. Also, I think people were telling me that, or people were talking about that he had a Phantom Bullet, which is the same thing that Simon and Dark Haruto has, but I don't see it anywhere here, so I'm assuming he doesn't have a Phantom Bullet mechanic. Let's just break it down for what Vultee is, right? Let's break down what this unit is doing. Magic resist down, he's a water unit, he's able to increase his own damage based on the amount of water units on his team. He's able to apply 100% defense ignore to his entire team, and he's increasing his attack by 80%, and he's able to reduce his own skill CT recovery and equipment CT recovery by 30% if you use the art. So, in my opinion, whenever I was looking at this, I'm seeing the slots, I'm seeing everything else, I'm instantly like, oh, I thought it was going to be kind of like a Magic Batiste at first. I'm like, okay, he's reducing magic resist, he has the skill CT recovery, he has 100% defense ignore, but then I think his true art effect kind of falls a little flat in my opinion, because he really wants to be on a mono water team for you to get the most damage potential possible. But the problem is that if you use him on mono water, you're probably going to be using him alongside Vox, which means that part of his true art is just kind of negated, because you don't need to ignore 100% of the enemy's defense if you're using Vox on the team, because Vox has 100% crit chance. But either way though, he still is a magic damage dealer. So if you were going to throw this guy onto a water magic team and you were going to build the team specifically around Vultee, you would be looking at something like maybe a Rosetta, maybe a Weaver possibly, and then you finish it off with a Vox, and that could be like your mono water team for your magic damage. Or actually, since Summer Juno just came out in JP, I guess you could also throw on Summer Juno onto that team to get even more damage for your water team. Of course, I'm looking at units that we can use in global, but I would take to consideration this guy's only on JP right now. So another thing to point out too that I actually didn't mention is that this guy's equipment CT buff and skill CT buff doesn't stack with Finn's normal art buff or Victoire or Dark Haruto's skill CT buff that they apply to their team. But I think there still is some value in him just by the 60,000% true art and stuff like that. With 100% defense ignore, he's still going to be a hard hitter. Like no matter what, he's still going to hit hard majority of the time. It just really sucks that this last mechanic is for each water ally, you increase your arts damage by 30%. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't really vibe with me because it's like magic resist down, skill CT, equipment CT. So they clearly want you to kind of try to ramp up that skill a lot and then pop his true art. And then it's like, oh, by the way, in order to increase his damage even more, you need to be on a water team. And that is the only part of his kit that actually synergizes with other water units. I would much rather prefer this guy actually have to be on a team with magic damage allies instead, which I don't know how that would work. Maybe that's really hard to code in or something, because I actually don't think there's a unit in the game that increases their damage based on what damage typing the other units use. Because really, the only thing that they've kind of solidified him as is a hard-hitting water docky. Like, in my opinion, that's what he is to me. Of course, he doesn't give his team any type of buffs. If you're going to be using him, you're going to be using him mainly as the main attacker, I want to say, and you're going to be trying to buff him up as much as possible. So I think there definitely is some stuff here, but I don't know. Is it just me, or like, he doesn't have enough uniqueness to him? You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's just another damage dealer. Maybe he does have enough uniqueness to him, but compared to the other Phantom Snipers like Simon, Dark Haruto, regular Haruto, Miranda, hell, even Priscilla, I think that each of them offer a very unique kit. And whenever I look at this, it's kind of like, I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. You know what I mean? I don't know. That could just be me, but either way, this guy's still going to be a really hard-hitting attacker. Very OP, especially if you use his true weapon on him. He's going to be getting some insane damage ups, and you could probably get away with using this guy in some harder content, to be honest. The only thing is that you'd have to kind of leverage how you would use his slots, because the slots aren't necessarily the best, but at the same time, they actually are really good for just a pure damage dealer, because he's going to be getting an extra 1,000 attack due to his 2 5-star magic slots. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about Vultee. The only thing that I want to talk about, I guess, that's coming out for JP is that you guys are having a new Phantom Snipers banner, which actually features Haruto, Miranda, and Priscilla, which of course is Vultee's classmates and teacher. You're going to be summoning on that in JP. I wish all you guys luck. It may already be out. Oh, no, it's not out yet. It's coming out on the 9th of September, which this video will come out on, I think, the 2nd of September. Something like that. I'm not for sure how I'm doing these. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. Tell me down below what you think about Vultee. Like I said, I think that, to me, he is doing a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I've already seen him. I really do. I feel like I've already seen this unit before, and it's not really giving me as much as a hype factor as some of the other Phantom Snipers have given me so far. I think there's actually only one other Phantom Sniper left now, if I'm not mistaken, which is the girl. I forgot her name. You guys know what I'm talking about if you read the story or if you've seen the pictures. I forgot what her name is, but it's the one that has the crush on Haruto, which is technically every single girl that's in the Phantom Snipers universe, but still. So now I guess we have to just wait and see what she does, because she'll be the last one. But thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy P. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.